In today's video, we're once again going to be taking a look at our modeled guidance here. There is a lot of interesting things to go over. We actually have a severe weather outbreak happening today with a moderate risk across the south central and kind of your Mississippi Valley area, if that's a thing, Mississippi River area, I guess you could say, all the way up. We're going to be watching all of these areas underneath this frontal boundary, so pretty much everywhere in here needs to be on high alert here as we have a moderate risk of severe weather. That includes a relatively high tornado risk as well, so this could be a tornado outbreak day. Also, really want you guys to pay attention to that. Always look at the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service for all your watches, warnings, and advisories. As you can see, still looking very wintry out west, down these mountainous west regions, all the way through the Cascades into your Sierra Nevadas and your Rockies. We have plenty of snowfall taking place at this point, mostly snow showers, but there is some heavier pockets, especially the closer to the coast you get here in these more coastal mountainous areas. This looks a lot heavier than those more Rockies and everything. We do have this, again, frontal boundary stretching all the way across the kind of eastern half of the nation. It's this southern extent that we're watching closely, though. Let's keep going with this. And by the time we reach this evening, this is going to be the look. A rapidly intensifying low here with a cold front underneath, warm front up above. This is going to cause the rising warm and humid air to take place here, and then the swinging cold air behind it. This is classic stuff. If you watch the channel, we mention this all the time, that this is the ingredients for a severe weather outbreak, and sure enough, it's all kind of coming together and adding up today. By the time we reach tomorrow afternoon, this is going to be the look. We have, again, a very strong low, still 986 millibar low pressure center, bringing wintry activity for all of these areas here. We do have a cold front still extending down where it's kind of outpaced the cold. Your Arctic air mass is still mostly back here, but this is, again, swinging out ahead of that a little bit. We do have thunderstorm and shower activity. I don't know why that just disappeared there, but shower and thunderstorm activity up and down the east here, but this is going to pretty much break up pretty quickly here as we reach into the evening hours of Saturday, even into early Sunday for some folks. As you can see, this very strong low, now a 993 millibar low pressure center, is pretty much dying down the precipitation, at least in the United States. It's still bringing extremely heavy and extremely widespread snowfall to a lot of southeastern Canada there. That does eventually wrap up by the time we're reaching Monday, early hours of Monday. As you can see, we're kind of left over within a slight ascending pattern as you head eastward. Very slight, as you can see. But there is definitely some warmer, humid air working its way in already. Still by early next week, we can see a little bit of Arctic air looking to influence these areas as well. So certainly a little bit of a trough in the west, a little bit of a ridge in the east, but they're both kind of just a little bit at this point. As we continue this on towards Tuesday, we end up having a flatter jet stream, especially the further east you head. There's a little bit of a interesting jet stream pattern happening here as we do have a strong storm approaching. This is bringing very heavy snowfall, as you can see again, to the Sierra Nevadas and some of these hilly regions for Nevada, or Oregon better yet, and Idaho as well. As we continue this towards Wednesday, we can see this low pressure center here. We have pretty broad low pressure, but there's a couple of areas of low pressure is bringing precipitation here to a lot of your west there, especially California there, and then Idaho and Wyoming. We're seeing heavier snowfall out there in the northern Rockies. Overall, though, I mean, if you were to draw a kind of line straight down the middle of the United States, it's clear all that activity is in the western side of things, and really quieting down here for a lot of the east, as you can see, pretty much looking very minimal there in the east as far as any precipitation happening. It's pretty average as far as temperatures, and it's just going to be a very average Wednesday there, it appears. Right in the middle of the week, too. It's just kind of interesting. As you can see, by the time we're reaching Thursday into Friday time frame, so overnight Thursday into Friday, we have a very strong jet stream pattern happening here with a very intense looking trough here. Also equally intense looking ridge. And in between those two features, we do have a very strong low as well setting up. This is a 999 there in the southeastern corridors of Colorado. And this is already causing some warm front activity up here. Looks like it wants to be developing a cold front. And this just looks like a very intense look. Could be our next severe weather event as well as major snowstorm, as you can see. And we can tell this cold front is really developing, this warm front really having a pretty intense curvature there. We can see snowfall to the northern and western ends of all of this. We can tell that this warm front extends all the way eastward, so this is going to be pushing that warm and humid air all the way towards the east coast. So we're going to see a warmer end to the week there. As we reach towards about Saturday, which could be a very warm day on the eastern seaboard, we have a 988 millibar low pressure center, cold front stretching all the way down. Warm front looking about like this, and this would be, again, probably 80s, at least 70s for a lot of these areas in the north. Definitely a very intense look. And look, all of these areas we're going to be once again watching for severe weather with this system, with this cold front, so we could have more severe weather on the way. It does appear. And then as we reach the end of our model run here, we can see we end up being a little bit quieter, mostly a little bit of a ridge here in the east, a little bit of a trough in the west again, but looking quite average, I would say. Here is what I would pretty much say is the main feature here at the end of our model run. As we take a look at that total precipitation here, as you can see, a lot of activity moving onshore to the west, but a little bit less than we've been seeing. The Rockies getting a little bit more than we've been seeing, and once it's all said and done with two major lows crossing over these areas here, kind of like this primarily, this is going to lead towards very strong cold fronts underneath and really just bring all these areas plenty of precipitation. So that's why we get all of this activity here in the eastern half of the United States and the southeastern corridors there of Canada as well. We're seeing plenty of precipitation, to say the least. That's kind of an understatement. But as we take a look at our total snowfall here, you can see that we get plenty of snowfall out west. This seems to just pretty much keep going forever. It will come to an end eventually, but this just doesn't seem to be even close to stopping at all. We can see multiple feet, especially in the higher elevation areas, so this is certainly not slowing down by any means. We do get a couple of snow events here as we get low pressure centers moving through these areas, even a little bit of a low potentially offshore for this weekend. Not even potentially, but almost definitely. Gonna bring 2 to 6, even 6 to 10 there in the pinks and purples. Definitely a very interesting snowstorm, late season snowstorm. Again, we can once again see the jet stream just by looking at this. Is something like this. Now, as we take a look at this GFS model, we're going to be primarily looking for disagreement and not seeing any here. Let's see if we get any with the next storm. We do get a little bit more of an intense coastal system here, bringing some snowfall to these areas by midweek. The European model seems to have backed away from that solution as of now. And then we get this major low as we approach the weekend. That's pretty similar to what we've seen from the models. And then we get more of a trough there in the east. But look, follow that up with a major ridge by the time we're reaching the end of the first week of April. This would probably be quite warm. We'll take a look at those temperature anomalies real quickly. But yeah, look at this. Very warm across most of your United States here. But mostly the east. And if we look at the actual temperatures on the high on Saturday the 8th here, you're probably going to see some very interesting numbers. As you can see, upper 60s for all of these areas that are dealing with snow as of now. The 70s pretty much for all of these areas. And even 80s going to be possible for your kind of deeper south areas. The whites indicating upper 70s. So something like this is what we're going to be seeing as far as 70s. Upper 70s into lower 80s. Definitely a very warm pattern according to this GFS model. Certainly very interesting. The European model had a major trough heading in for around the 5th of April. This GFS model says right after that it's going to be extremely warm. So we're going to have to see which of these models is correct. But definitely a very interesting pattern is on the way. I want to let you guys know we do upload every single day, so be sure to subscribe because we will continue to track this daily and just comparing to the previous days. That's what we always do around here. We're going to keep chugging along, obviously, with this pattern as we approach spring, the mid-spring point kind of when we will actually have more spring weather on the way. And then we're going to obviously begin to approach summer. I can't believe I'm even saying that, but that is what is on the way eventually. So be sure to subscribe. We even have notifications you can turn on by clicking that bell icon so you get notified every day when we upload. Like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts because I enjoy hearing from you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.